For years, you did what you were told. You walked. Maybe 30 minutes every morning before the day got away from you. Maybe a loop around the neighborhood after dinner. You were consistent. You showed up. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you believed that consistency was protecting you, that the legs would stay strong, the balance would hold, the body would remain yours to rely on. Then something shifted, not dramatically, never dramatically. A hesitation at the top of the stairs, a moment of uncertainty stepping off a curb, the realization, sometime around the third or fourth time reaching for something to steady yourself, that the walking had not been doing what you assumed it was doing. That is not a failure of effort. It is a failure of information. And it is far more common than most people realize. Walking is genuine exercise. It supports cardiovascular health, lifts mood, keeps the joints mobile, and adds meaningful years to a life when done consistently. None of that is in dispute, but after 65, the body is fighting two specific battles that walking is simply not equipped to win. The first is the accelerating loss of skeletal muscle, a process that begins in your 40s and picks up speed with each passing decade. The second is the quiet degradation of the balance system, the network of signals between your joints, your inner ear, and your brain that keeps you upright when the ground is uneven or the footing is uncertain. Walking does not challenge either of these systems enough to reverse what age is taking. It maintains what remains. It does not rebuild. Two specific exercises do. They are not complicated. They do not require a gym membership, a personal trainer, or equipment most people do not already own. What they require is understanding why they work, because that understanding is what will make you actually do them. We will spend most of today on the second exercise. It comes from a tradition that is over 1,000 years old, and a clinical trial published in a major medical journal found that older adults who practiced it for 12 weeks reduced their rate of falls by nearly half. Not reduce the severity, reduce the occurrence. We will hold the full details until the end, but keep that number in mind. Before we get into it, drop a comment right now and tell me your age and where you are watching from. I read everyone, and it genuinely shapes what I make next. Let's get into the two exercises. Exercise 1, resistance training. Somewhere between the ages of 30 and 40, the body quietly changes the rules. Until that point, muscle loss is slow enough to be invisible, offset by daily activity, managed without any deliberate effort. After that point, and especially after 60, the equation shifts. The body begins breaking down muscle tissue faster than ordinary movement can replace it. Walking to the mailbox, climbing the stairs, moving through the routines of daily life, none of it produces the specific signal the muscles need to maintain their mass. That signal has a precise biological name, but what matters is what it means in practice. Muscle only holds on when it is asked to work near its limit. When it is not, it lets go. This is why the faithful walker, the person who has not missed a morning in 15 years, can still find themselves struggling to rise from a chair. The heart has been trained. The lungs have been trained. The muscles have not received the message that their continued existence is required. Resistance training sends that message directly. The term can sound clinical, even intimidating, in a way that puts people off before they understand what it actually involves. It does not mean a gym. It does not mean heavy barbells or machines designed for athletes half your age. Resistance training, at its most essential, means asking a muscle to work against a load that challenges it, and then, as it adapts, increasing that challenge incrementally. A resistance band, a pair of light dumbbells, your own body weight positioned in a way that makes the movement genuinely demanding. That is the entire apparatus. When muscle fibers are placed under sufficient load, they develop microscopic damage, not harmful, but structural. The body responds by repairing those fibers and adding new protein to them, making them slightly thicker and stronger than before. This process, called muscle protein synthesis, remains fully operational in adults well into their 80s. The biology does not close the door at 65. What changes with age is the threshold. Older muscle requires a stronger stimulus to trigger the same response. A slow walk does not reach that threshold. A set of resistance exercises performed with genuine effort does. The practical implications are significant. Research has consistently found that older adults who engage in progressive resistance training, where the challenge increases gradually over weeks, can add meaningful muscle mass within 8 to 12 weeks. not the muscle mass of a 30-year-old, but enough to change how a person moves through their day, enough to make standing from a chair feel unremarkable again, enough to carry groceries without planning how to do it, enough to climb a flight of stairs without needing a moment at the top. There is a second benefit that receives less attention than it deserves. Bone responds to the same stimulus as muscle. When muscle pulls against bone during resistance exercise, the bone interprets that force as a demand to maintain its density. Walking produces some of this signal in the lower legs and hips, but far less than resistance training, which can engage the entire skeletal structure depending on which movements are included. For adults over 65, where bone density loss is an independent risk factor for fracture and the consequences of a fracture can be severe, this matters considerably. Starting is simpler than most people expect. The movements that produce the greatest benefit for older adults are also the movements that most closely mirror daily life. Sit to stand from a firm chair without using the hands trains the quadriceps and the glutes, the two muscle groups most responsible for getting up, staying upright, and absorbing the forces that would otherwise end in a fall. A resistance band anchored to a door handle and pulled toward the body trains the muscles of the upper back that hold posture together. A slow, deliberate step up onto a low platform trains the hips and the stabilizing muscles of the lower leg simultaneously. 2 to 3 sessions per week is sufficient. Each session need not exceed 20 minutes. The critical variable is not duration, it is effort. The final repetitions of each set should feel genuinely challenging. If they do not, the stimulus is not reaching the threshold the body needs. Increase the resistance, slow the movement down, or add repetitions until that last effort requires something real. One important note for anyone managing joint pain, recent surgery, or a condition that affects mobility: the movements can almost always be modified to accommodate limitations without eliminating the benefit. The principle, load the muscle near its capacity, can be applied at nearly any starting point. A conversation with a physical therapist before beginning is worthwhile if there is genuine uncertainty about where that starting point is. Resistance training addresses the first of the two battles. It rebuilds the muscle mass that age is quietly taking, the process clinicians call sarcopenia. The second exercise addresses something different entirely, a system the body does not lose to weakness, but to disuse, and the consequences of losing it are just as serious. Exercise 2, Tai Chi. In China, the parks fill before sunrise, not with runners, not with cyclists, with older adults, some in their 70s, some in their 80s, some older still, moving through a sequence of slow, deliberate postures that from a distance looks almost like a conversation the body is having with itself. Weight shifting from foot to foot, arms tracing wide arcs through the air, the whole body turning, pausing, turning again, unhurried, continuous, precise. Tai Chi has been practiced in one form or another for over 1,000 years. For most of that time, Western medicine regarded it as a cultural tradition. Interesting, perhaps calming, but not something to be taken seriously as clinical intervention. That view has changed substantially in the last 2 decades, and the change was driven not by opinion, but by data. The balance system is not a single thing. It is a conversation between 3 separate inputs, arriving at the brain simultaneously. The first is visual, what your eyes tell you about where you are in space. The second is what the fluid in your inner ear tells you about how your head is moving. The third is what the pressure receptors in your joints and the soles of your feet tell you about where your body is positioned relative to the ground beneath it. When all 3 are functioning well and communicating clearly, balance feels effortless. You do not think about it any more than you think about breathing. When any one of them degrades, as each of them does measurably after 65, the system as a whole becomes less reliable. The margin between stable and unstable narrows. The recovery time when something unexpected happens, a crack in the pavement, a step that is slightly higher than anticipated, a moment of distraction, lengthens. Falls become more likely not because a person is careless, but because the system that should catch them is operating on a signal that has been quietly weakening for years. Walking does not rehabilitate that system, it uses it. There is a meaningful difference. When you walk on a familiar flat surface at a comfortable pace, the balance system is engaged but not challenged. It is running a program it has run thousands of times. It does not adapt, it does not sharpen, It simply performs. And when the terrain changes or the footing becomes uncertain, the limitations become visible. Tai Chi challenges the system directly. Every posture requires a controlled weight shift, from 2 feet to 1, from one side to the other, forward and back, performed slowly enough that the balance system cannot rely on momentum to carry the movement through. The slowness is not decorative, it is the mechanism. Moving slowly through an unstable position forces the joints, the inner ear, and the eyes to continuously renegotiate where the body is and where it is going. Performed consistently, that renegotiation becomes faster, more accurate, and more resilient. The system sharpens because it is being asked repeatedly to solve problems it cannot solve automatically. What most people miss about Tai Chi is that it also trains something walking can never touch, and it may be the more important of the two things it does. The movements require and gradually develop something that formal exercise science calls anticipatory control. In plain language, the ability to prepare for a movement before it happens rather than simply reacting after the fact. A person with strong anticipatory control does not just recover from a stumble. Their body begins adjusting before the stumble fully registers. Muscles activate a fraction of a second earlier. Weight shifts preemptively. The fall that would have happened does not. This capacity, more than raw strength and more than flexibility, is what determines whether an unexpected moment in the environment ends safely or not. Walking cannot train anticipatory control because walking on a flat surface is predictable. The body does not need to prepare for what is coming because what is coming is always the same. Tai Chi, with its continuous, unpredictable weight shifts and its demand for full attention to where the body is at every moment, trains exactly that capacity and trains it in a way that transfers directly to the unpredictable terrain of real life. The practical barrier for most people is unfamiliarity. Tai Chi can look complex from the outside, a long sequence of named postures that seem to require years to learn. The clinical evidence does not support the idea that complexity is necessary. Simplified forms, some consisting of as few as 8 to 10 movements, have produced the same measurable improvements in balance and fall risk as longer traditional sequences. Beginners can begin with a small number of postures, practice them slowly, and receive the full benefit of the training stimulus without mastering an elaborate choreography. 20 minutes 3 to 4 times per week. That is what the research used. That is what produced the results. And those results, the full picture of what a 12-week clinical trial found in adults over 65 who had already experienced falls, are worth sitting with properly, because the number is not what most people expect. At the start of this video, I told you that a clinical trial found older adults who practiced Tai Chi reduce their rate of falls by nearly half in 12 weeks. I want to give you the full picture now, not just the headline, but the details that make it meaningful. Before I do, I want to acknowledge something. A 47% reduction sounds like the kind of number that appears in supplement advertisements and disappears under scrutiny. It is reasonable to be skeptical. The older you are, the more of those claims you have seen come and go. So let me tell you exactly where this comes from, and let you decide what to make of it. The trial was published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. The participants were adults over 65 who had already experienced at least 2 falls in the previous year, meaning this was not a healthy, low-risk group being observed in ideal conditions. These were people for whom falling had already become a pattern. They were divided into 2 groups. One group continued their usual activities. The other practiced a simplified Tai Chi form, 15 movements performed for 20 minutes 3 times per week for 12 weeks. At the end of the trial, the Tai Chi group had experienced 47.5% fewer falls than the control group, and the benefit did not stop when the trial ended. Follow-up data collected 6 months later showed the reduction holding. The researchers did not claim Tai Chi was magic. They pointed to the mechanism. Continuous, slow weight shifting trains the balance system to communicate faster and more accurately. The body begins preparing for instability before it arrives rather than reacting after the fact. The 47% is not a mystery. It is the measurable outcome of a system that has been deliberately sharpened. What makes this finding particularly significant for older adults is the nature of what falls actually cost. A fracture after 65, particularly a hip fracture, carries consequences that extend far beyond the injury itself. Recovery is longer. Complications are more common. A meaningful percentage of older adults who experience a serious fall-related fracture do not return to the level of independence they had before. The statistic most people find uncomfortable is that hip fractures in adults over 80 are associated with significantly elevated mortality in the year that follows. Preventing the fall is not a quality of life issue. For this age group, it is something more serious than that. Tai Chi, practiced consistently, addresses that risk directly, not by making the body more cautious, by making it more capable. Now, bringing both exercises together as a complete picture, resistance training and Tai Chi do not overlap. They address entirely separate systems. One rebuilds the muscle mass that walking cannot maintain. The other sharpens the balance system that walking never challenges. Together, they cover the two processes most responsible for the loss of independence after 65. Full guidance on both, specific movements, progressions, and beginner resources, is in the description below this video. Walking stays. It belongs in your life for the reasons it has always belonged there, but it is no longer enough to carry the full weight of what healthy aging after 65 requires. The body does not decline because it has given up. It declines when it stops receiving the signal that holding on is necessary. These two exercises send that signal clearly, consistently, and in a language the body at any age still understands. Which one are you starting with? Tell me in the comments. And if someone you know is walking faithfully and wondering why it does not seem to be enough anymore, send them this video. It may answer a question they have been carrying for longer than they realize. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.